Well, it's been a long time. How have you been? Yeah, I know I didn't do exactly what I said I was going to do, and I will address that, but at the end of the video, because this is a music review, so let's get into the music. And I know a lot's released since I've been away. It's a new world, but with the same old problems. But music must go on, artists must keep producing art, fuck the quarantine. And throughout this absolute fucking chaos in the world, we've got a new music from NoFX in the forms of non-album singles, which I will talk about someday, but we'll probably roll into the big review of the second 7-inch of the month club that I'll do whenever that finishes being released. Billy Joe Armstrong's also been releasing a few of these non-album singles just as a form of solo covers, as I guess he's under quarantine by himself. Little good old social distancing. But to stack onto the pile of new music that we're getting, out of the blue, about 6-7 hours ago, Green Day released a new EP. And if there are two things that are certain in this world, it's that when Green Day releases new music, I will talk about it. And now more than ever, I have nobody to talk to. So it's gonna be plastered on the internet for y'all to possibly enjoy. Well, anyway, some of you might remember back to, I think, 2017, Green Day released Fell For You Otis Mix, just a little remaster remix of the song Fell For You, originally from Uno. Green Day have recognized in the past that they aren't necessarily the most proud of the way that they tackled the production and creation of the trilogy. And I think that especially through the Otis Mix, and especially how a lot of the songs really are kind of better live, I think they've demonstrated that they realize a big detriment to the albums, just as a whole and in general, is the lackluster overproduction. In my opinion, it is definitely and totally the greatest detriment to the quality of the trilogy. Personally, I was pretty psyched to see that remix back when they first released it, but I was kind of bummed that they didn't release any more, and I feel like they might not have because of a little bit of the backlash they got when they did. It wasn't monumentous, but there was a certain idea among the fan base, especially, comment sections and all that people didn't want remixes and re-releases from the trilogy. The sentiment being that if these songs would have been done right, it should have been the first time, and a sentiment that people didn't want to buy the albums all over again. And because of that sentiment, I kind of had the impression that they wouldn't be doing any more of these Otis remixes. But today, out of the blue, we have a little EP with 3 new ones. Just right off the bat, this is totally my bias, but I think that Lazy Bones, Wild One, and Oh Love were wonderful selections. I wish that they would have done a few more, but if they were only going to do 3, these are 3 pretty good choices. I think that these songs were a little more popular, but they also strike the balance to me, just personally, as 3 of the songs from the trilogy that I genuinely pretty enjoy. Just to be straight up, I really don't listen to Uno or Dos as records. There are just too many songs that I don't really care for me to sit through, the 30-minute and 45-minute run times. Oh Love is like the only song from Uno that I listen to with the actual Uno version, not the Demolicious version. And Lazy Bones and Wild One were, I think, 2 of the strongest songs on Dos. So even kind of just going off of that, this EP is kind of made for me. I'm their dream elusive target demographic for this. I'm open to trilogy remasters. These 3 albums are the only Green Day albums that I only have digital versions of, not physical copies of. I think if they did a full album of that, it might be a little abrasive, but just as EPs or compilation albums, definitely okay with that. Particularly compared to the trilogy as a whole, I like these songs. So what do I think of the EP in general? In general, all 3 of these recreations pretty much do the same thing. Now, it's been a long time since I've listened to the trilogy dedicatedly, so I might be wrong, but I'm 90% sure that these are the exact same performances, which means that these are not re-recordings. They just went back to whatever hard drive. They took the master copies of the individual instrumentals as they were recorded in studio, and they took them back and arranged them into the final track differently. It's the same exact song before production, but the process of the production and the end result is what's different. Does that make sense? This isn't a re-recording, and I don't think this is a remaster. I think they straight up took the raw performances that they originally captured and just fancied them up in a different way. Though I don't know, Green Day are great performers, so it's entirely possible that this is an entirely newer performance and they just absolutely perfectly nailed playing it exactly the same. Anyway, to kind of focus on the 2 songs from Dos, since every album for the trilogy was just slightly mastered differently, they really tackle Dos's problem of this big empty space between the components of the song. Why do 3 vehicles, 2 going one way, 1 going the other, drive down a barren country road at 4:15 in the morning? the greatest mysteries of our time. Oh, that's a camper. Maybe someone's bugging out for the apocalypse. And now there's the morning train, but you probably won't be able to hear that, so I think it's time to keep going. Okay, the big problem with these songs as they originally were on DOS was that they were mastered with a sort of weird empty space between the instrumental parts, so that the vocals, the bass, and the guitar and the drums were all kind of quarantined off from each other. Nothing was able to bleed into anything else, which is sort of a weird criticism if you're thinking about like pop or pop rock, but for the garage rock that they were going for, it's absolutely bizarre. Like, the interplay of reverb and the noise that instruments make together and all the haze and fucking distortion and mass is kind of part of the garage rock charm, so having literally the opposite of that was such a bizarre move for DOS. And I wouldn't characterize the mastering here as straight up garage rock. I'd say it's more like American Idiot, where it has just a more brash and straight up rock and roll approach going on, which on paper wouldn't be my goal. Again, I would totally try to take it back to a raw garage rock thing like Foxborough Hot Tubs. But for what it is, they actually do a really good job mastering like this, almost like they did an entire album like this. In addition to just kind of increasing the presence of the bass, you know, the actual bass of the sound, and increasing the volume of the lead guitar to step into the auditory space of everything else, giving a little bit of that garagey messiness, as well as just more of a punch to the track in general. I think that most importantly, but also easiest to miss, is that they let some of that reverb in. They let in some reverb, some echo, a little bit of distortion, you know, waning off and wah-wah at the end of the sound. The sound has room to breathe and show off a little imperfection, and that just makes it feel a lot more human and a lot less, for lack of a better phrase, factory produced. I think that these two songs from DOS, when compared to the original versions from DOS, since they're as far as I can tell, the exact same performance, they're just a really good example of the importance of producing a song right. Like, producing a song in the appropriate way that best benefits that song. Like, really, it makes all the difference. I liked the songs that they chose to begin with because I was a fan of the composition in general, but now I can confidently and safely say, now that I've heard them with more appropriate mastering, that yes, I like these songs as songs. I don't know, most people probably won't care about these, so aren't super hyped about them, but Green Day gave me exactly what I wanted, so I'm pretty happy about that. And the slight outlier here is Oh Love. Again, it's been a long time since I've listened to the original unaltered Oh Love, but I'm pretty sure that they actually added a little bit of instrumental, or maybe they combined verses or something. I don't know, I swear the original Oh Love was like 30 seconds longer, so I don't know if they cut down a verse or something. I guess that shows the quality of the original Oh Love, that I can't tell if they changed it or not. And I'm also pretty sure that they dropped the pitch. Maybe not a full half step, but I think they tweaked it down just a little. Otherwise, maybe they just brought out the bass and subdued the treble so much that it kind of sounds like they did even though they didn't. Or I don't know, maybe it's because I've listened to my demaster of Oh Love so much more than the original now, that I think that if Oh Love sounds hard, it must be because they dropped the pitch, because that's what I did. So all in all, I liked this EP. This is only what I've been thinking would be cool since like 2014. Really happy Green Day put it out, especially right now to help us get through the fucking quarantine. I'm not sure how to give a letter score to this. The letter score doesn't really matter. I'm gonna give it a B-. I'm gonna tie it with Father of All. I guess really walking away from it, I'm pretty equally satisfied listening to this compared to Father of All. And I know that Green Day are never gonna watch this video, but hey, Green Day, I'm talking to you. If you ever do any more of these, and I really encourage you to, might I recommend 99 Revolutions, Angel Blue, Wow That's Loud, and Dirty Rotten Bastards as songs to give this treatment. And now for the shortest possible channel update I can give for those of you who want one, to make a long story really, really short. I failed in my goal to stop from a mental downward spiral. I had a mental downward spiral, then a complete breakdown, and then was very depressed. And now I'm slowly beginning the very long, very slow, very tedious ascend back out of oblivion. Since I have literally no reason to be in the city right now, I left the large city that I live in and am back at my parents' house in the middle of nowhere in the country. I mean, I had a choice between being quarantined in pretty much an apartment, or going out to the country and being quarantined on a nice big, farm with a forest. So of course I chose to be on the farm with the forest. I can walk around and not have to worry about who's 6 feet around me. So yeah, while in my rut, I kept working on scripts, and I'm gonna try to, pick up the video output here. So I have literally fucking nothing else to do. So I'm just gonna focus on YouTube, like I said I was gonna over a week ago. But this time I'm, on the upward climb instead of the downward spiral. So hopefully it'll go better this time. Thank all of y'all for being patient with me with that. I got some cool suggestions for some videos from you, and I'm definitely going to do those. And for one last cool thing, I'm not entirely sure when it'll happen yet, but I'm going to be starting a podcast with my friend. I guess I can post a video or include it in another channel update when that exactly comes together, but something to look forward to if you want to hear more of me talking. So I kind of threw away my original Spanish love songs video, but I've also scripted a new video kind of wrapping up some of the albums that I want to talk about from January, February, March. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on the albums on the screen, then leave a comment. And I know that this kind of breaks YouTube tradition because upcoming videos are supposed to be a secret because of reasons. So if you don't want to hear like the next 5 videos that I'm coming out with, then end the video right now. But these are the videos on the screen that I'm coming up with. So that's cool. Stick around for those. And yeah, this is my life now. This is literally all I have to do. So if you have suggestions, keep them coming. I am effectively becoming a full-time YouTuber because I'm being forced to. Anyway, thanks for checking this video out. And I hope you have a wonderful day and you stay safe during this fucking apocalypse.